Today we're going to look at a program called Frames 5, which is a very bare bones, user-friendly animation program. When you open up the program, this is what you look at. This is your opening screen. And the first square, the white square here, that's going to be your first frame for your animation. So the way animation works is that you have several frames placed back to back, and when you play them in quick progression with one another, they give off the illusion of some kind of movement. So just looking at your basic tools over here, this is what you're going to use in this section. There's lots of menus at the top. I'll explain some of those tabs in a minute. One of the things you could do is your pencil, like many other animation or any drawing programs. You just use your pencil and you could draw whatever you want. It's a freehand tool. You could change the width of the pencil over here, have a thicker line if you wanted to draw something that needed a thicker line. You could also change the color. It's all very one step for each thing that you want to get done. Another tool you have over here, this is a pen. What you're going to do here is every time you click, you're going to leave a point for some kind of shape. So here, depending on how many corners you want it to have, you could create a shape like that, and then once it's complete, you can move it around as a full shape. Another tab over here is for shapes. This would be obviously you could create whatever you want. A lot of things people want to do with this is create their own characters. One way you could create a character, if you're trying to make a human face, a few circles go a long way. Just keep choosing the circle tool here. Doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but you could choose whatever kind of shapes you want. Maybe give them a triangle nose. And then for a mouth, what do we have? Maybe a squiggly line over here. There, so you could really do whatever you want. That was a very quick rudimentary face that I just made there. It also has a text feature. So if you've used any other computer program, the text options are usually very similar. Just open a text box here. You can write whatever comes to mind. Tony is the best. And like most programs, you could easily change the font, make it a lot bigger. You could change the style of the font. And then you can move that around and place it wherever you want. They also have over here, there's a microphone feature and a webcam feature, so you could record yourself talking or record videos of yourself and put that in the animation. For the purposes of what we're doing today, we're not going to use that, but it is a handy tool to use. What we're actually going to do here, I'll start a new one here. Just file new, very easy to start a new session here. And we're going to go into the library. That's an easy tool to use because it starts off with a lot of stock backgrounds, stock characters. You could get into an animation really quickly without necessarily having to have a lot of artistic talent, which is great for kids of all ages, adults of all ages. Not everyone knows how to draw very well or even likes drawing, but even if you're not very artistic, you could still find a lot of use in this program. So one way to start here would be taking backgrounds. Just say we take community background, and everything is a one click away kind of setup. You could have a baseball field as your background in a second. You didn't have to draw anything, but there's your baseball field. One thing that's great about this is not only does it have the backgrounds, but it also has characters. You could go into clip art, which would access the clip art database the way that Microsoft Word does. But if you click on characters here, it sets them off in groups in a way that is very easy to follow. So on our baseball diamond, just say we select animals, always an easy way to go. Maybe we have a dinosaur on our baseball field. And now that he's sitting there, you can free transform the size of him. Very simply, just click and drag. There's also a ball up here that if you click on that, it changes the angle, so you could rotate him, put him upside down, whatever you want to do. We'll just leave him like that for now. So right now we're in this section that used to be the white square. Now it's got a background and a character on it. This is our first frame. I'll actually just move him over here based on what we're going to do next. This is the first frame of the animation. So it's very simple to continue this step and to make an actual animation out of it. What you're going to want to do is we have this frame. You also see a mini version of it down here. This is the viewer to see where you are in terms of a whole project. this screen up here is always going to show the frame that you're currently working on, but down here it's going to show the entire project. So what we want to do is clone this frame, and right now you can see at the bottom of the screen this one is highlighted. Now the second one is highlighted. Whatever one we're highlighting is the one that's going to be up in the middle here. So we'll go on the second one, and in order to make the illusion of movement, we're just going to take our dinosaur and push him over slightly. So if you look down at the frames down here, it doesn't look like much movement has occurred, but if you see the big frame at the top, once we're clicking on them, the dinosaur does move slightly. And one way you could test that is you rewind the video, so it's going to go back to your initial frame, and you press play, and it's going to quickly go through each of the frames. So in that case, it's just a 2-frame animation. It's essentially him taking one step. If you want to further the animation, you clone that one, the one that we just did, and now you can see there's 3 at the bottom. And once again, we're going to make him move slightly. And we could test it each time, but because we're doing such a basic animation, I would just feel confident cloning each one and making them move slightly each time. Do 5 or 6 of these. And the result that we should get when we rewind to the beginning, you see that's where he started, and we just saw where he's going to end up. He's over there. So click back or rewind, whatever one you want to do. And when you press play, it's going to go through each frame step by step, and it's like a stop motion animation here. So even though all we did was move him slightly each time, when we see each movement in progression and compared to the one before it, it gives the illusion of animation. Now, when we have these frames highlighted, we could come over here and edit the frame. You could change different things, like the kind of background you want, change the color of the frame. One of the most important things down here is the duration of the frame. So what that means is, right now it's showing the duration per frame is 0.5 seconds. That means every frame is going to be on screen for 5 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in terms of animation, that's actually a very high number. It's a long time to be on screen at one time, because your eyes move a lot faster than 0.5 frames per second. They could pick up a much higher speed than that. So what we're going to do is shrink that down. So the way you do that is you click on the first frame and you shrink it down to as low as it'll go. On this program, 0.1 seconds is the fastest it'll move, it's the least amount of time that it'll be on screen. And although that sounds very fast, it's not as fast as cartoons that you'll see on TV or in movies. Typically those are somewhere around 24 frames per second. So we'll try that out. We'll go to each frame and we'll make it 0.1 frames per second. And what that means is it'll only be on screen for 0.1 seconds before it flips to the next screen, or to the next frame. So what I've actually done is the first 4 frames here, I've brought them down to 0.1 seconds, and I've left the last 3 at 0.5 just so we could see the difference in speed. So I'll rewind it and I'll press play. And as you can see, the first 4 frames moved very quickly, and it was a really fluid, smooth motion. And that's because it was only on screen for a fraction of a second, so our eyes picked up that it was moving pretty quickly. And then if you compare that to the last 3 frames, it looks very choppy and the motion isn't nearly as fluid. Another thing we could do is, if you look at the bottom here, underneath the frame viewer, you see a soundtrack and a background soundtrack. What we could do is go to the library, and instead of going on characters, we could click on music. You could import a full song. You could import your own pictures. So if you wanted your own face to be a character, or if you wanted a picture of your house to be the background, you could do that. But you could also import different kinds of sounds, and that's really useful for, just say you imported a stock roar, you wanted your dinosaur to roar, you could do that. Or you could record yourself roaring and put that in if you'd prefer. So that's a very basic, quick telling of how to do an animation. One thing that you could do also is take pictures of things that you've made. You can make your own stop motion animation physically, take pictures of that, upload those pictures, and have a stop motion animation using this program as well. So what I'll do here, File, New, it's as simple as that to start a new program. If you go into Library and click on Tutorials, that actually shows a bunch of pre-made animations, and the first couple here are stop motion animations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the flamingo picture. I put clone, but I didn't need to do that. I'll just cut that, get rid of him. I'll put a new frame, and I'll put the next sequence of flamingo. New frame, flamingo 4, new frame, flamingo 5. Just do a few of these really quickly. I've used this program before, so I'm taking for granted how quickly I can go through these frames and realize I have to put a new one and come back over here, but just a matter of getting used to it. Pop another frame down. I'll do 10 of them, and then we'll take a look at what that looks like. So this tutorial actually shows you how you can make your own stop motion animation, take pictures of it, upload the pictures, and it'll be the claymation effect that you tend to see on like the Rudolph movies, those old school cartoons. So I'll rewind it and play. And you could see by moving him slightly each time and changing his foot position, his back position, his posture, it makes it look like he's actually walking. Of course he's not, and it's each individual still frames, but the frames back to back give the illusion of motion. So these are just a few things that you could do on this program. Browse the rest of the website and you'll see different ways that you could apply that to the curriculum and how you could use it in different classroom situations.